Welcome to the Folklore of Taylor Swift, a 101 course on the lore surrounding the pop phenomenon. This is episode 1, which will cover her childhood up to her first record deal. Taylor Allison Swift was born Wednesday, December 13th, 1989. She was named after the artist James Taylor, who she is a huge fan of and references in her own music. Taylor's parents are Scott Kingsley Swift, a former Merrill Lynch broker, and Andrea Gardner Swift, born Finley, a former mutual fund marketing executive. In 1992, their family welcomed her brother, Austin Kingsley Swift. The entire family now works for the company Taylor established called 13 Management, with whom she makes her deals and business decisions. Long before Taylor was the family business, her parents ran a Christmas tree farm in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania, which she lived on during her earliest years. She's given interviews saying that she could have easily become a holiday cynic, but instead became obsessed with everything Christmas related. She references her childhood in many songs, especially Christmas Tree Farm, a 2019 holiday single, and Seven from Folklore. She has also told us that she sang as much as possible as a child.
I think my first memory of loving music happened so early. We would always go to the beach in the summer and I would run from blanket to blanket, from family to family, and just sing, "Yay, Taylor!" When I was 7 years old, my grandmother took me to this local children's theater company. I just thought, I want to do that. I want to tell stories on stage. That turned into me wanting to sing in karaoke contests and try out for different things and sing national anthems. For the land of the free.
And then she fell in love with guitar.
Whoa! I got my first guitar when I was 8 or 9 years old. I couldn't motivate myself to learn because my fingers were too small. I always had the guitar around and had it in the corner. And when I was about 12, this magical twist of fate, the guy who my parents had hired to come fix my computer, I'm doing my homework, and he looks over and sees the guitar in the corner, and he was like, "Do you play guitar?" And I said, "Oh, no, I tried, but no." He said, "Do you want me to teach you a few chords?" I was like, "Yeah, yes." That was that. I was just relentless about wanting to play all the time.
Unfortunately, the more she pursued her dream of writing and performing music, the more her classmates isolated her. After her local paper did a write-up on her performance of the national anthem, at school the next day, no one would sit with her at lunch. She shares that at other times, she would go to school not knowing if anyone would speak to her that day. Infamously, she and her mom have recounted how one day after school, she called up several girls to see if they wanted to go to the mall. They all gave different reasons they couldn't go, so her mom offered to take her and hang out instead. When they got to the mall, all of those girls were hanging out without her. This later inspired the song Best Day, a song about her relationship with her mom, which Taylor usually only performs around Mother's Day. Taylor was also writing from an early age. When she was 10, Swift penned the poem Monster in My Closet, which won a statewide poetry contest. As a teen, she also wrote a novel totaling more than 300 pages, titled A Girl Named Girl. At age 11, she convinced her mom to take her to Nashville on spring break in search of a record deal.
So that's when I got it in my mind that there was this magical place called Nashville where dreams come true, and Faith Hill got discovered, and I thought to myself, Nashville? Well, I've got to go there. I begged my parents for, I think, a solid year. Please, can we take a trip to Nashville? Just nonstop. I want to go to Nashville, just relentlessly.
It was all she talked about. So on spring break, we went to Nashville to go check it out.
Everyone you meet in Nashville has the same dream, and a lot of them wanted to be exactly what I wanted to be, which was an artist and want to be on the stage in front of a lot of people.
Taylor would, say, "That's Mercury Records, pull over." I need to run my demo CD.
I'd get out and I'd run up to the door. Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm 11. I want a record deal. If you could give me a call, that would be awesome. And I knew that I had to figure out some way to be different, some way to get better and have more to offer. Music was something that was so necessary for me to be happy. I would play for hours and hours until my fingers were bleeding.
She never put it down. She wouldn't put it down. We'd have to literally say to her, all right, put the guitar down, come to dinner, then you can go right back and play. But it became a matter of forcing her to put it down at that point.
I just fell in love with it.
Realizing what she needed in order to stand out, Taylor started writing songs. She completed her very first song at age 13.
This is a song I wrote yesterday, and it's about a girl who's just different. And I really like it because it's just so happy. So this is called Lucky You.
While the demo has leaked, the song has never been released. At 13, Taylor signed a development deal with RCA, a division of Sony, and the family moved to Nashville. These types of deals are focused on fostering talent, but not on putting music out. During this year, she got to meet and work with songwriters, including Liz Rose, who we'll talk about in future episodes. She also continued performing as much as possible at quote-unquote venues like you can see here. The RCA development deal was for 1 year, roughly Taylor's freshman year of high school. And at the end, RCA had the option to sign her to a record deal, cut her loose, or renew the development deal for another year. RCA offered a renewal but no record deal. They gave Taylor the impression that they would want to keep renewing her under development until she was 18, but she didn't want to wait that long to put out a record that was already taking shape. Taylor turned down their contract renewal. Meanwhile, high school treated her a lot better than her earlier schools had. She became friends with Abigail Anderson, who we'll talk about more as well, and she also maintained straight A's while pursuing her career in music. Things took a pivotal turn for Taylor when she performed as part of a showcase at the famous Bluebird Cafe. This was also where her idol, Faith Hill, wife of Tim McGraw, was discovered. Scott Borchetta saw a 14-year-old Taylor perform and said, "I was just blown away by her songs." He was currently at Universal but was planning to start an independent record label and told her, quote, "The only promise I can make you tonight is when I start my label, you have a deal with me," end quote. In her journal the next day, Taylor compared the different labels that she was talking to and wrote, quote, "There's also Scott Borchetta, who we met at Universal. And I really loved all the stuff he said in the meeting, and he stayed for the whole Bluebird show. And he's so passionate about this project. I think that's the way we're going to go. I want to surround myself with passionate people." So, at 15, the start of her sophomore year, Taylor signed a 6-album deal, which would span 13 years, with the independent record label Big Machine Records as its very first artist. The deal gave Big Machine the ownership of the masters to Swift's first 6 albums in exchange for a cash advance. Scott Swift also purchased a 3% stake in the company for an estimated $120,000. Her debut album would be the very first album the studio put out, and the deal itself, well, we'll cover that in depth later. All right, that is a very cursory intro to Taylor's early life, her family, and her tenacious pursuit of a career in music. Come back next episode to learn all about Taylor's debut era. Below, you'll find links to additional interviews and info from Taylor's early life. Follow Folklore and Fantasy on YouTube and Instagram so you don't miss anything. Thank you.